Welcome back to Poetry and Police. So Mr. George Williams has been freed after spending 50 years in prison. And his attorney, Isat Buchanan, is now saying that the justice is, everybody's saying, he calls it swift justice. Mr. Buchanan, come on, man. There's nothing swift about the justice for George Williams, brother. The man has spent 50 years in prison, so what is swift about that? What is swift about that? Yes, you came in and you did a spot of work and the man was freed. And why the man was freed? Because the man was freed because the man was never convicted. So all he needed to do is to voice the fact that the man was not convicted and spent 50 years in prison. I don't know hard work that. This is what I hate. People walking around and just seeking attention. Come on, man. We don't need to be seeking any attention from George. The man had already spent 50 years in prison. The man deserved to be free, no matter how you take it, because he was not convicted in the first place. So the system had forgotten about George Williams, and the system has made a whole lot of mistakes. His family and friends have made mistakes too, so them come to want to chat. What have they done for the 50 years that this man was in prison? That is the question. Did you not have an attorney from back in the day to say, why is this man sent to prison in the first place? And a man that was not convicted is not supposed to be sent to prison by law, and everybody know that. How did he end up in prison? Nobody visited him in prison. Nobody cared about George at that. As a matter of fact, George is not even the only one that this had happened to. A man was even, one time 4 years ago, a man was in prison for over 30 years the same way, and he was not even charged. But sometimes you have to, it's not a joke thing, that a man is not charged and is in prison, not convicted. So this is the same thing. At least George was charged. But you see the thing about it, George had psychiatric, was allowed to get psychiatric evaluation, meaning that they were saying that George had schizophrenia with multiple personality. That is, well, the man was a sick man. So the man would have gone through the medical system and all of that. So how was he lost? Unless he was intentionally lost. So the government have to answer to that by paying money. So George is a free man with him pocket full right now, about $6 million now. Because if it was my family, $6 million wouldn't cut it. As a matter of fact, if it was my family, would have never spent so much time in jail. Because you are telling me that over the 50 years, nobody no visit George. To know that the man is in prison, nobody no find out that the man should not be in prison. Until now. Well, Isat Buchanan came forward and did a spot of work, but it is nothing to show off about, because George only needs somebody to step up and talk. If a family member had talked, George would have been freed anyway, because he was not convicted and imprisoned by part. By doing that, his constitutional rights was breached in 50 years different ways. By not being convicted and in prison. Like I said to you, this whole thing of conviction, and if a man is convicted, say, for 10 days in prison, 10 days and sent to prison, and, he was always at the station, he will be at the station first before sending him or her to prison. Now, if 9 days come and that man is not in prison, and if the 10 day pass and that man, that's a breach. If the 10 day pass and that man is not in prison, that's a breach of the system, because that man is supposed to spend at least 1 minute in prison once he's convicted. The order of the judge is to send this man to prison. So a court order has to go to the lockups where the man is to transport the man to prison. So therefore, how did the judge end up in prison? A court order had to send the man to prison. And I guess we can't find those records now, they probably burn our last. Because no man now got to take the responsibility for those actions, So the government will have to stand up for that, because the government will have to account and the government will have to pay up. So now is this. Now, if Isat Buchanan wants to be useful now him can argue with the government about that $6 million, because $6 million would not cut it for the amount of years that George has lost. And George probably need medical care right now, but the system is not what gave him cancer, prostate cancer in the first place. Well, maybe. But, I don't think the government will even argue about this, because the government is already guilty. The government is already responsible for this man being in prison for so long without conviction. So now it's all about the amount of money the Attorney General is willing to pay. So I am expecting Isat Buchanan to embark upon this with his full might. That is what you need to do, Isat. And don't come on social media and talk about the man case, how much the man get, man. Don't seek popularity of cases like these, brethren. as an attorney, do your job, Bridget. I see that you love the media too much. You know what I mean? You need to stay off the media with your cases, man, because you're seeking too much popularity in Jamaica, and you're seeking too much media attention, and you want to be a star too much. Do your work, man. If you're carrying out your duty, carry out your duty. The best hero is the one that does not walk around and show what he is doing and what he's about to do. You know what I mean? Your magnanimity, you know what I mean? Nobody don't have to know that. But you know, I am grateful that George is released, because it was a great form of miscarriage of justice. And I know, even though I know that there was a victim in the case, in the case of murder, but like what they say, George was a madman. He had psychiatric problems, so maybe he was a madman at the time of the killing. So then he would have not in the frame of mind to be pleaded. Although I'm seeing in discussion talking about he was fit to plead. And you know, those was fit to plead sometimes, you know, I mean, they are not correct, because sometimes these doctors just say a man is fit to plead just to please the victims in the case. And it happens in Jamaica on a regular basis, where people are not fit to plead, and yet they are pleaded. I have seen it in court. A madman, we seen a court already, a madman was convicted. And even though that a psychiatric evaluation was hard, the madman was sent to prison. I mean, know that man mad, but guess what? Me am a doctor, so me can't talk. My recommendation does not matter, because that is not my area of expertise. My job was only to arrest the man. My job was only to arrest the man and put him before the court, but me know he was a madman. And yet it was said that he was fit to plead. Me no control over that. Is the psychiatrist that was ordered to evaluate the man by the court. But let's get back to the point. The issue at hand is that George was not convicted and sent to prison, which is a gross breach of his constitutional rights. So George should have been released years ago. But now that the matter has brought to the attention of the court and they have done the right thing by releasing George, the government will have to pay up. It's not no doubt, but $6 million would not cut it. It is not going to cut it. And I hope Mr. Buchanan goes for more than that and not advertise it to the public. I mean, what you have done so far will suffice. You know, I mean, you're trying to advertise your practice, but you don't need to do that. Just do some good job, man. You know what I mean? And stay off the media. Congratulations to Mr. George for getting his freedom, for what years that he have left on this crooked planet. Hope he enjoys it in a good frame of mind. You know what I mean?